This is The Pet Show with America's favorite pet expert, Warren Eckstein. Warren's the author of How to Get Your Dog to Do What You Want, How to Get Your Cat to Do What You Want, and he's here to answer all your pet and animal questions. Now, say hello to Warren Eckstein.
Hello, everyone, and welcome once again to The Pet Show. Is your terrier acting a bit terrified? Does your calico kitten have you totally confused? Are you being controlled by your chihuahuas? Though you could admit it, you know your chihuahuas take over the house as soon as they come in. By the way, if you love your dogs and adore your cats and really want to understand why they behave the way they do, why they think the way they do, you want to get inside their heads, stay tuned because once again, right here, right now, it is time for The Pet Show. That's right, America and Canada's first and only real pet psychology, pet training, pet behavior, pet lifestyle show. So hop up on my couch, bring those furry little buddies with you, folks. It is that time once again to let the animal analyzing begin. Hello, everyone. I'm Warren Eckstein. This is The Pet Show, the place where we absolutely, positively, never a doubt about it, love, adore, and as I stress every single week, respect pets and animals as much as you do. By the way, if you want to join me on the Evergrowing Pet Show family, if you have a question about your dog or cat's behavior, they're jumping, they're digging, they're humping, they're scratching, they're waking you up in the middle of the night, you can't take your dog for a walk because he pulls you down the block, your cat refuses to eat, doesn't get along with the new cat, you're dating someone new and your dog, you get the idea, right? That's what the Pet Show's all about, helping people resolve any issues that they may be having with their dogs and cats, or as I state every week, a lot more likely any issues that their dog or cat may be having with them. If you have a question about your dog or cat's behavior, just want to brag a little bit about a dog or cat, I love when people call up and ask me about dogs and cats that they've rescued because it usually encourages other people to do the same thing. So if you have a question or comment, great time to call me. The phone number here at the Pet Show, 877-725-8255. That's 877-725-8255. 8255. That is the way to get through to the show. Plenty of time for your calls as well. Let me tell you what I have planned for today's show. However, if you're a regular listener to the Pet Show, as well you should be, you know there's no way I'm going to get to all my topics, but I'm going to try today. I'm going to try to stay on course and get to at least most of them, but your phone calls are always my priority. But if we have time today, I know this may sound a little strange to a lot of people, and heaven forbid that I should ever sound strange. Come on now, guys. The challenges, you ready? The challenges of a teenage dog. You know, just like human beings, dogs also go through a teenage stage, let's face it. And many dogs, and this is the sad part, so many dogs are surrendered during those teenage years to shelters, but that's a normal part of their behavior. It's a normal part of their development. They get through it. Some training, some behavior, living with a teenage dog coming up. And, you know, it breaks my heart. How many times, and so many of my listeners go to shelters as I do, and see the 1-year-old dog there or the 10-month-old dog there. And people say, well, I just don't get it. All of a sudden he started chewing, jumping, humping, digging. What's wrong with my dog? Well, he's going through those teenage years, no different than my teenage years, and I got in an awful lot of trouble then. So we're going to take a look at the challenges of a teenage dog and how to deal with it. By the way, if you have a teenage dog and you want to share a great story, give me a call, 877-725-8255. When I first started talking about teenage dogs, remember years ago, I was doing a segment on the Today Show about teenage dogs. And I remember that I think it was Al Roker that looked at me and said, hey, Warren, you're crazy. I said, well, maybe, Al, but let me hear me out. And we got so many people that were watching the show. At that point, I guess they were emailing or sending letters to the Today Show. You know what? I have that issue with a teenage dog. So hear me out. We'll talk about that. Also coming up. So I bet I'm not the only one that gets calls and texts like this. They always start the same. Well, you know they do. Hey, Warren. That's right. Hey, Warren. Why does my cat always put his butt close to me? It can come up at night. Why does my cat always put his butt close to me? In fact, he often presents me with his behind. What is that all about? Only cats can get away with that. So we're going to talk. Why does your cat come up to you? And instead of putting his head right in front of you, he kind of backs into you and says, hey, take a look at my butt. What does that mean? May not mean what you think it means. We'll take a look at that as well. Also, very important. With the thousands and thousands of dogs I trained all around the world, there's something called, and it's real important, something called marker training. So what is marker training? And I wrote this down. It's basically let your dog know that they've done something right, and it also let your dog know that you're proud of them. Now, what does that mean? We're going to talk about marker training. Now, everyone has a different way of using the marker. Some people use their voice. Some people use a treat. Some people with dogs with hearing impairment uses hand signals. So we're going to talk about how important it is to use marker training for your dog. And it really can make all the difference in the world because, we correct our dogs a lot, but do we praise them for doing the right thing all the time in the right way? So they realize that they're getting praised whatever way we decide to do it for doing the right thing. Also, there's an old saying, the nose knows, and believe me, it does. My background, I've talked about this before, was teaching dogs to sniff out incendiary devices and narcotics and things like that. So when it comes to a dog's nose, boy, do I know their nose. So we're going to take a look. Why is it so important to allow your dog to sniff? I've talked about this before, sniffcations, but why is it so important to let your dog sniff? And a lot of people don't. The dog puts their nose on the ground, you're taking your dog for a walk, and you're pulling him, you're schlepping him down the block, and the dog wants to sniff. You're saying, let's go home, let's go home. No, you got to let your dog sniff. We'll talk about that as well. As always, plenty of time to answer all of your pet and animal questions. Also, if your pet is chewing, jumping, maybe that rescued cat is a little confused about the litter box, or that dog you just adopted is suffering with separation anxiety or teenage problems. Maybe they're depressed. Maybe the dog chases anything that moves, hates other dogs and some people. Cat scratched your favorite chair, and your dog literally believes that if he sees it, it's his job to hump it. Give me a call, 877-725-8255, 877-725-8255. So, I wanted to ask this question. I asked it many years ago, and I'm just going to redo it again. Whatever you name your dog, how often do you actually use that name? In other words, do you have a lot of nicknames for your dog or your cat? I'll give you an example. Years ago, I rescued a dog named Duke, and that's the name he knew, Duke. After a week or so, Duke became the Duke man, the Dukester, Dukey Duke Luca Luca. I had so many different words for Duke, and he understood them all. So that's my question to you guys. Do you have nicknames for your pets? I want to hear from you. 877-725-8255. That is the way to get through to the pet show. As I said, plenty of time for your calls. And a lot of people, I'm going to take a lot of calls here, but a lot of people question in terms of the challenges of a teenage dog. And I mean, it sounds kind of funny. Is your dog a juvenile delinquent? But going through those teenage years can be challenging, can be really challenging, but they don't have to be. They don't have to be. If people just understood that the same hormonal changes, the same changes that we go through when we're getting older, when we're going through those teenage years, some of us never outgrow it. Some dogs, by the way, don't outgrow it either. I call them the Peter Pan of the dog's world. So we're going to take a look at that. But I think it's really, really important because so many people will call me up. Hey, Warren, I have a year-old dog, an 8-month-old dog, and he's doing this. Or he was great when he was a puppy, but all of a sudden he turned into Cujo on me. What is that all about? We're going to take a look at teenage dogs, find out how many nicknames you have for your pets, and we're going to answer a whole load of questions here on the Pet Show. So if you have a question or comment, great time to call me, 877-725-8255, 877-725-8255. It's interesting. I took my dogs in yesterday. I used to express their anal glands myself and cut their nails myself, but I'm a little older now, and so I take them to my vet, every 3 or 4 weeks to have their nails clipped and their anal glands. Now I live in Arizona. I've been in Arizona, I guess, a little over a year and a half. And when I got to the vet and they needed their shots, their regular vaccinations, although leptospirosis is important. I don't give my dogs leptospirosis anymore. You want to talk to your vet about it. My dogs had a reaction to it. I believe most dogs that have a reaction to vaccinations is with leptospirosis, but it may be important if you want to talk to your vet. What I found interesting yesterday by going to my vet was he said to me, have they been checked for valley fever? I said, valley fever? What the heck is valley fever? He said, you live in Arizona, Warren. And valley fever is not only dangerous for our pets, but it's dangerous for us. So they did a screening to see if Molly or Willie, in fact, had any signs of valley fever. And then, so different parts of the country have different problems with certain things like valley fever. I've never heard of valley fever, but I guess it does occur in LA as well, but more so in Arizona. The number here, 877-725-8255. Plenty of time for your calls. If you have your dog or cat that's jumping or humping, or maybe your cat is a little blue or depressed, or I dealt with someone this week who had two dogs that they adopted together. They lived with each other for almost 13 years. One passed away, and they wanted to know how to deal with the depression of the other dog. It stopped eating. It stopped doing this. And a lot of people just poo-poo that. But I'm telling you, dogs have been living with us long enough where our personalities and our behavior go from one end of the leash to the other. So why would we not think that two dogs living together and one dog crosses the rainbow bridge, the other dog's not going to feel depressed or anxious, and we have to get them to it. So we'll talk a lot of stuff to talk about today. Plenty of time for your calls, 877-725-8255. Let me do this. Let me take a break right now. When we come back, we'll get to your calls. I see we got a couple of calls coming up. We got Renee from Illinois, Emma from Missouri. We got John coming up as well from Connecticut. So we'll get to all your calls, 877-725-8255. A quick break and then right back. Well, not back, but we'll take our first call right after this. You know, I want to tell you about my friends over at Delta Rescue. An important organization. They've been around for, I guess I've known about them for 48 years, although their CEO and I don't always want to admit we've known each other that long, but we have. Anyway, Delta Rescue makes a difference every day in saving thousands and thousands of dogs and cats and other animals as well that were abandoned by their cruel owners. And I mean cruel. I'm talking about dogs and cats that were tossed out of cars in the forests, the deserts, the cities, all across America. You know, your donations make all the difference in the world with Delta Rescue because they can actually change the destiny of these poor animals that had no shot in life. And I mean no shot. Where were they going to go? As I said, for almost 48 years, Leo Grillo, my friend, and Delta Rescue would never be able to do the absolutely life-saving work they do every day without you, my listeners, and of course your generous support. From saving lives every day to providing lifetime medical care, lifetime for over 1,500 saved animals, I believe that Delta Rescue is in fact the group that deserves your dollars. By donating to Delta Rescue or making a bequest in your estate planning, it will make your legacy work for the animals right now, saving fundraising costs, which is critical, but even more important, it'll give you tax benefits. So that means the animals win and you win all at the same time. I love all win situations. Every donation, by the way, is an opportunity to keep more than 1,500 dogs, cats, and horses happy, healthy, and loved for the first time in their life. Every living thing deserves to be loved, and that's what they get at Delta Rescue. By the way, Delta Rescue is a top-ranked charity by GuideStar.com. I want you to log on to their website, deltarescue.org. That's deltarescue.org. You can text them directly, dogs, to 801-801, dogs to 801-801, or subscribe to their YouTube channel at youtube.com/Leo Grillo, Animal Rescuer. I'm Warren Eckstein. This is The Pet Show. And Veterans Day coming up this week. As a veteran myself, I hear this music. I got to tell you, my hair stands up on my arms and I still get those chills. As a matter of fact, I just became a member. I'm a member of the American Legion, but I just became a member of a local veterans organization. And when you think of veterans organization, you might think of a bunch of guys talking around, smoking cigars. Well, not this veterans organization. They do incredible work every single day, from raising money. As a matter of fact, I will be picking out 3 children that are not so secure and their family's not secure, and I'll be giving them, donating and giving those 3 Christmas presents, and so will everyone within this organization. So some of these veteran organizations, you don't stop being part of a veteran when you get out of the service. You keep giving that service to everyone. So we'll be playing that music, and thank my producer Phil for getting that set up for me. How about we start out with a phone call? How about we go to Renee, my friend Renee, calling from beautiful, the great state of Illinois. Hey Renee, what's going on?
And I wanted to know how to keep dogs from jumping on you when you first come into the yard or something, or somebody comes to the door and they try to jump onto your leg or just, put their paws up there and kind of jump up and down and bark.
Well, Renee, the first thing you have to understand is teaching a dog not to jump up involves withholding the attention that they get when they do jump up. Normally, the first thing that a person does when a dog jumps up on them is say, get down, get off me, knock it off, wait till daddy comes home, or they push the dog away. So dogs are getting attention for that. And dogs, like kids, respond to attention, either positive or negative. And by the way, when you come home, the dog's really excited to see you. So in fact, a couple of things you need to do. If the dog is behaving, obviously, you want to reward that good behavior. Now, practice makes perfect. Rather than saying, no, 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 stop it. Rather than saying that, how about taking a leash and a harness or a leash and a collar and practicing with your dog when people come in and out, or when you come out, using a sit or a stay or some of your basic commands. That can make all the difference in the world. Sometimes you want to add like the sit command, but also if you have good friends or neighbors or relatives that want to work with you, practice with them coming over, practice with them going into the yard. But the most important thing right now is to establish a communication with your dog. Let him understand what basic obedience is, so you have a positive way of controlling him rather than no, 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 no. What you may not want to do, and this is important, is a lot of people say, well, take your knee and raise it in the dog's chest or cause some type of fear or anxiety. No, you don't want to do that. Think about this. You come home, your child, your human child, goes to hug you. And you say, no, get away from me, don't bother me. How is that child going to react to you? If you do the same thing with your dog, the dog's excited to see you, and you're saying, get away from me, knock it off, or pushing him away, what have you done? You created a situation where the dog wants to be your bud, and all of a sudden you're pushing him away. So how do we deal with jumping? It's really important. Number one, if the dog has not learned his basic training, heel, sit, stay down, and calm, what the heck are you waiting for? It gives you the ability to tell a dog to sit rather than no, no, no. Now, does a dog listen 100% of the time? No. Do you listen 100% of the time? No. So you want to get like an 85, 90% response. So using the basic commands and practicing both in the backyard, if that's a concern, and at the front door or the side door, whatever door you're using, that's really critical. But the one thing I really want to stress here, that any techniques that are scary or induce any type of fear or stress to your dog is not the way to approach it. It makes things a lot worse. It can make the dog shy or distant. So when you have a dog, whether it's a big dog or a little dog, jumping can be bothersome either way. You want to make sure you take the time to educate the dog properly so that jumping's not a problem. I often joke on this show with the thousands of dogs I've worked with. I've always joked where the owner would say to the dog, no, 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 no. And when I walked into the house and I said no, the dog actually came thinking that was his name because he hears it so often. So make sure when you're teaching or training your dog, make it positive. Reward that good behavior. A little trick as well. At the beginning, when you're still learning and you don't want the dog to jump a little bit, I generally find one of the dog's favorite toys in the world. Something the dog cannot live without. And the only time he gets that is specifically when you come home. Give it to him, distract that attention, it'll make all the difference. Good luck to you, Renee, and follow my advice, and your dog, I promise, won't be jumping. 877-725-8255, the phone number. I'm Warren Eckstein. Plenty of time for your calls. We'll be right back. Anchors away, my Navy buddies. Although I was in the Air Force, I still consider the Navy my buddies. We are back on the Pet Show. Veterans Day coming up this week. God, put a flag in front of your house. Please, please thank somebody for their service. You don't have to go crazy, but just putting a flag in front of your house when a veteran drives by, believe me, take it from someone who knows. It means an awful lot. Hey, the phone number here at the Pet Show, 877-725-8255, 877-725-8255. So I was talking to someone this weekend, and they said to me, Warren, my cat always comes to me and puts her butt near my face. What is that all about? It's embarrassing. What can I do about it? Well, this is something I'm going to be putting up on my YouTube this week, so I'm going to share it with you right now. Why is your cat always putting their butt next to you? Here's why. When a cat presents you with its behind, it means your pet sees you, take it from me, your pet sees you as a maternal figure. It used to do that as a kitten to get its mother to groom it. Another sure sign you've won its heart if it blinks slowly while looking at you. It isn't tired, it's showing that it's comfortable letting its guard down around you. So I know this sounds really strange, and heaven forbid that I'll be strange, but when your cat approaches you and backs into you, and let's face it, I'll be real with you, it's not the greatest thing to look at, a cat's butt, but at least you can understand now that from the cat's point of view, it's a sign of feeling comfortable around you, of feeling good around you. It goes back to its early kitten days when the mom would groom it. So the next time your cat puts its butt in your face, you might just want to say thank you. Phone number 877-725-8255, 877-725-8255. That is the way to get through. Plenty of time for your calls. Some great stuff to talk about there. We're going to go through those teenage years in just a little bit. But right now, let me go to my friend Emma calling from the beautiful state of Missouri. Hey, Emma, welcome to the Pet Show.
I just have a question. My boyfriend and I just got a kitten, and she started biting the fur off of a chunk on her tail, and we don't know if she's stressed or not acclimating to the house well. And any advice for having a new pet? Okay, thank you.
Oh, yeah, it's not uncommon. First of all, the main thing you want to see is to make sure that there's no itching or irritation there, no allergies, no parasites, no fleas, or other skin type issues, which is very often the case. However, you hit an interesting point. As a behaviorist, which is my profession, stress or anxiety, major concern, major problem about excessive behavior, compulsive behavior, such as going after the tail. So if we've seen the vet and we've ruled out, allergies and parasites and fleas or any other skin type issues, we have to take a look at stress and anxiety. We all know, anyone who's had the opportunity of being owned by a cat at this point knows that cats are really sensitive, and any changes in their environment or routine can cause this issue. Tail biting may be your kitten's way of coping with distress. Some people bite their nails, some humans scratch their heads, crack their knuckles. Well, with a cat, or dogs too, they use that excessive biting or licking to cope with stress. And one of the things I recommend is to increase the activity level. I know you have plenty of toys for the kitten. Everyone says the same thing. I don't care if you just went to Petco and bought a $20 toy. Go to the supermarket, bring home a box or a bag, and it's like the dog hit the lottery or the cat hit the lottery. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to give the cat so many things to explore. Cardboard boxes, but really be creative. Every cardboard box, every bag you bring home from the supermarket smells entirely different. One's chicken, one's beef, one's cauliflower, who knows what the other one is. But the bottom line is be creative. Take these boxes, cut holes in them, put one on top of the other, make a duplex. Be creative, really creative with those boxes and the paper bags. Though with the bags, let me give you a little warning here. Cut off the tab so they don't get their neck crossed in that. And I got to tell you, cardboard boxes and paper bags are free, right? Yeah, they're free. That means you can change them every day, right? Cats are nomadic by nature, and the more things they have to explore, the less stressed they will be. So that's really important. But also, you say it's a kitten. And let me tell you something about kittens. Some kittens and some cats actually bite their own tail as a form of play. With kittens, sometimes it goes to their hunting instinct. Hunting their tail is not uncommon. They learn to control impulses as they get older, but when they're young, their tail is like the prey. And they're going to go after it. They're the predator. So sometimes that's the reason. But the other thing that I really want to stress, if you've done everything, the cardboard boxes, the paper bags, organic catnip, other or safe organic plants for cats. You can check those online, can be really important as well. Also, they have these plug-in pheromones now. At first, I was a little hesitant about them, but I find that now they can be a little helpful as well. So I would use some of those. Now, here's the most important part. Behavior and veterinary care should go hand in hand. If the tail biting is really excessive, or if the tail biting is causing any injury, your vet might be able to prescribe medication in conjunction with the behavior modification I just gave you, which can make all the difference in the world. So, Emma, in the great state of Missouri, it's a kitten. Now, being a kitten, now's the most important time to socialize. Now, let me tell you something else. One of my favorite books and my best-selling books is How to Get Your Cat to Do What You Want. I should have titled How to Get Your Human to Do What You Want. But in that cat book, I talk about the concept, and a lot of people thought I was nuts, but I talked about the concept of building up the cat's sense of purpose, building up the cat's self-esteem, building up the cat's self-confidence. You know, you have a kitten. Spend a lot of time socializing it. Spend a lot of time with it. When you leave the house, maybe you want to leave some clothing around so he feels more comfortable with your scent or your boyfriend's scent all over the house. Follow that advice. And I promise you the next call is going to be, hey, Warren, this cat's driving me crazy. Good luck to you, and thank you for adopting this kitten. I appreciate it. Hey, the phone number here at the Pet Show, 877-725-8255, 877-725-8255. Are you getting a theme for today's show, guys? A theme that is when you have a dog or a cat that's doing something wrong, and somebody in the field of training or behavior says, correct. Is it fair to correct the behavior that you haven't at least tried to resolve? Of course not. Almost any behavior that a dog or cat displays can be resolved. I mean, there are certain medical conditions, obviously, we can't resolve, but in terms from a behavioral standpoint, if your dog or your cat in this case has a specific situation. Well, we have a lot of dogs sometimes that will have compulsive behavior as well, chewing on their paw, for example. So chewing on a dog's paw can develop a lot of situations, just like we talked to Emma about the cat. So making sure that you keep your dogs and your cats both mentally stimulated and active can make all the difference in the world. Great call, by the way, Emma. I appreciate that. 877-725-8255. 877-725-8255. That is the way to get into the Pet Show. You know, tail biting is not just for cats. Tail biting can be for dogs as well. So we want to make sure. Again, I know I'm going to get calls on this nickname for your pets. I'm telling you, the Duke, after a day it was Dukey Duke Luca Luca, the Dukester, Mr. Dukey. How many nicknames do you have for your pet? I'm Warren Eckstein. Give me a call. Again, that number, 877-725-8255, 877-725-8255. A quick break, then right back to your phone calls. You know, I've been telling you for months now about my Hugs and Kisses Animal Fund. And sometimes talking about the fund actually brings tears to my own eyes. But thank you, guys. We've received some nice donations recently. But here's why, exactly why, my Hugs and Kisses Animal Fund is so critical and so important. Here's why. We search out the most deserving small rescues, small humane organizations all across America. We search them out. Names you've never heard of, people you've never heard of, but the small mom and pop groups that you've never heard of, the ones having a cake sale to raise $50 to neuter a dog, those are the ones that do the bulk of the rescue work and humane work. Yeah, the big organizations, they do good work. I would not deny that. But they have public relations people. They have marketing people. They have all kinds of people to work with. I'm talking about 5 or 6 volunteers in a local community saving thousands of animals on their own every day. These groups are made up of volunteers so busy trying to save as many animals, they don't have the time or the energy to raise their own funds. And folks, that's where you and I come together. The Hugs and Kisses Animal Fund and you. We together can raise the money. And when we raise the money, they can continue doing the work they do every day without worrying about expenses. Every dollar you donate to my Hugs and Kisses Animal Fund. By the way, it's a 501c3 nonprofit organization. But every single dollar, I mean every dollar, goes directly to aid the humane work. Just go to the website, hugsandkissesanimalfund.org, and read all of the thank you letters from these small organizations all across America. Please, please help them. Go to the website, hugsandkissesanimalfund.org. As I said, every dollar goes directly to the organizations. I personally cover the expenses of running Hugs and Kisses, so every penny can go to these small groups. So go to hugsandkissesanimalfund.org. Your donation is tax deductible. Hugsandkissesanimalfund.org. Donate what you can using PayPal, using your credit card, or at the bottom you'll see an address where you can mail a check to. And I appreciate those people mailing checks as well. I want to take this opportunity to thank you, the volunteers thank you, and most importantly, the thousands of animals saved by these small mom and pop organizations, they thank you too. I'm Warren Eckstein. This is The Pet Show. You know, maybe it's just me, but I just feel so proud and so good when I hear patriotic music. Someone asked me the other day, what is your favorite movie in the whole wide world? Was it Jaws, The Perfect Storm? What was your favorite movie in the whole world? And I got to say, it was Yankee Doodle Dandy. I can't watch, listen, I'm a veteran, 6 foot tall, 185 pounds. I don't cry easily. But I do when I listen to patriotic music and watch Yankee Doodle Dandy. Just me, folks. Hey, the phone number, 877-725-8255, 877-725-8255. So here's another thing I'll be putting up on my YouTube this week. Let's call it Brain Under Construction. The challenges of a teenage dog. You know, dogs, just like humans, go through those teenage stages I was talking about. However, the teenage brain is being rewired biologically, emotionally. Physical changes often cause challenging behavior. Common teenage behavior with the dog. Now, listen to me carefully. Listen to me real carefully, because if you have one of those dogs that's going through those teenage years, and it varies from dog to dog. Number one, they somehow forget what they learned. They knew how to sit yesterday, but they don't know how to sit today. They don't listen. They don't come back when you call them. They're easily distracted. Boy, was that me growing up. Overstimulated. You got that right. Excessive energy. Boy, I wish I had that energy now. Sleep less. I wish I was able to do that now. Sudden urges to chew things. You know, a dog's mouth is kind of their way of alleviating stress. Becoming fearful of things that didn't bother them before. Very, very common, by the way. And an urge to wander off and explore more. Now, here's some ways to manage that. And these are really important facts. And these are things I put together. As a behaviorist for as many years as I've been, I really want these teenage dogs. And again, I'll tell you why in a second. Be consistent. Continuity is critical. Be patient. Be understanding. Keep building that bond between you and the dog. Keep rewarding that good, wanted behavior. As I said earlier, don't constantly focus on the bad behavior. Focus on that good behavior. Provide calm, mellow outlets for physical needs. And sniffy walks. Sniffy walks are so critical. Remember now, your dog's nose is their eyes. And I want to talk more about sniffy walks later on. And this is critical. The biggest problem with teenage dogs is they're bored. I was bored as a teenager and I got into trouble resolving my boredom. So do your dogs. Increase that mental stimulation. Nose work, puzzle work. Safe chews. Keep the training session short. You know, when I was a teenager, I wasn't thrilled about going to school, but I was thrilled if the class was shorter than usual, or if there was a substitute teacher that kept it short. So keep training sessions short and make sure training is fun. You know, dogs, just like humans, if it's not fun, they're going to rebel. Continue socializing places, people, animals, situations with all positive associations. Now, as I said in the opening, one of the most important reasons for this is so many dogs are surrendered to shelters or trying to be rehomed during this time as this normal development phase is not recognized. Some people just say, well, it's a crazy dog. He's hyperactive. He's a bad dog. Phooey, phooey, phooey. When does it begin? Usually around 5 to 6 months. Usually they start hitting that security. Again, it depends on breed, at about 18 to 24 months. So it's interesting to me, if you have one of those dogs going through those teenage years, sit down, have a glass of Chardonnay, figure out, follow what I just said, and I promise you, you'll get through those teenage years. I know it's not easy, but you'll get through them. Quick break, then right back to your calls. I'm Warren Eckstein. This is The Pet Show.
Country, 'tis of thee, sweet land of liberty, of thee I sing.
Of thee I sing. God, I love this music. We are back on The Pet Show. I'm Warren Eckstein. The phone number here, 877-725-8255, 877-725-8255. Let's go to my friend John, calling from a state I know pretty darn well, the great state of Connecticut. Hey, John, welcome to The Pet
My
Show.
cat has hyperthyroidism, and I'm giving her medication right now, and I wanted to give her the radioactive iodine treatment, but I called one place, and they wanted me to keep her in a room for, I think it was 4 weeks, something like that, and only see her 30 minutes a day. And I was like, I can't do that. I don't know what to do. What would you do?
I would get another opinion from this point. I might even speak to a veterinarian. You know, veterinarians specialize in a lot of different pets, but nowadays, especially in Connecticut where you are, John, there are specialty hospitals specializing in cats. Generally speaking, the outcomes following most hyperthyroid therapies are usually excellent. Most cats have a really good chance of returning to a normal state of health. Now, being a behaviorist, not a veterinarian, there's actually no current thing known to prevent it, but there are several different treatments available. And I think what you need to do is find a vet that you're really comfortable with, John. And once you find that vet, I would follow his advice. There's a lot of different things they do. Diet can be involved, and surgery can be involved, and radiation. So there's a lot of different things. Having gone through radiation myself, knock on wood, cancer-free now, I believe in those type of treatments, but it's something you're going to want to work really, really close with your veterinarian to figure out. And the good news, John, is, as I said, the outcomes following most hyperthyroid therapies are usually pretty excellent, so give that a shot. Thank you, John, and give that cat a big hug and a kiss from me. The phone number here at the Pet Show, 877-725-8255, 877-725-8255. I'm Warren Eckstein, and yes, you are listening to The Pet Show.
Warren Eckstein, the man for your pets. We tried to stumble, but we haven't yet. Your dog is barking, your cat missed the box. Your ferret chewed up all your favorite socks. He sure knows how to get inside your pet's head. But maybe it's you who needs to be trained instead.
And if you love your dog and love your cat, you have come to the right place. I'm Warren Eckstein. This is The Pet Show, the place where we absolutely, positively, no doubt about it, love, adore, and respect your dogs and cats as much as you do. If you have a question or a comment and want to find out why your dog is jumping or humping or digging, or your cat looks at the litter box and says, there's no way I'm peeing there, scratched your favorite chair, jumps on top of your counter, wakes you up in the middle of the night, peed on you, get the idea. If you have a question or comment about your dog or cat's behavior, great time to give me a call. That phone number here at the Pet Show, 877-725-8255. And the question of the day, pretty simple. Do you have nicknames for your dogs and cats? I told you about Duke, the Dukester, and Dukey Duke. And I thought, God, I have Molly now and Molly Malone, 100 different names. So the question of the day is, do you have nicknames for your pets? give me a call, 877-725-8255. Plenty of time for your calls. We'll get to your phone calls in just a bit. But right now, I want to talk about something that's really, really important. You know, my background primarily is behavior and training. So training to me is probably one of the most important things that any reliable or responsible pet guardian should do. You know, when people call up and say, my dog doesn't do this, or my cat doesn't do that, or my dog is doing this, the first question I usually ask, have you done any type of education for your dog or your cat? And usually, well, a little bit. I did when they were younger. Well, no. It's real important. Education, just like with people, continues. Even the older dogs can learn to do new things. So I want to talk about something a little different today. It's what's called in the profession marker training. What is marker training? Marker training is basically this. A marker, that's the term we use. A marker is basically a signal used in dog training and behavior. What it basically does is let your dog know that, yes, in fact, they've done the right thing. And you're really, really excited and happy with them. It's kind of a way of pinpointing the exact behavior that you want from your dog, and in your case, cats as well. So, what is a marker all about? The choice is yours. Absolutely. Use whatever you want. When it comes to what you use as your marker, it could be anything you want, anything you're comfortable with, and we'll be happy to use consistently in your training, and that's critical. Consistency. How many times did I say that today? Now, for some dogs, and the majority of dogs I've trained and the majority of dogs you live with, a vocal marker is perfect. What is a vocal marker? Good boy, what a great dog. Love you. You did good. All of you could use whatever words you want. I don't care. But those positive things are used to let your dog know that, in fact, they have done something right. Vocal marker, higher pitched voice. What a good boy, boo-boo, daddy, love you. That's a verbal marker. Now, what about a mechanical marker? What is that all about? Some people prefer using those, and you can use those as well. It could be used in conjunction with a vocal marker. It could be a treat. It could be a special treat that they get when they do something right. I've never been a big fan of using the treat as a marker consistently or only. I like using a combination. So when I'm training a dog, if you were to hire me to train your dog, I'm not available, but if you were to hire me to educate your dog, I would use a combination of a verbal marker and using something called variable reinforcement as a treat marker, which means sometimes the dog gets a good boy, what a good boy, and sometimes the dog gets a little treat. And no rhyme or reason. That's called variable reinforcement, okay? So it's a combination of mechanical training with a treat and vocal training as well. Now, over the years, I've worked with many dogs that were hearing impaired or dogs that were just losing their hearing. So in that case, the vocal marker obviously is not going to work. The mechanical marker can work, but you got to get the dog's attention. So how do you do that? A visual marker can be used by anybody, but particularly used, as I said, when you're training a dog that has hearing challenges or maybe totally deaf. Use an obvious hand signal. Could be a thumbs up. Could be a pat on the head. Could be good boy, love you. Whatever hand signal you want to use. So again, when I talk about markers, we want to make sure, we tend to focus an awful lot when our dogs are doing something wrong. They're jumping, they're pulling, they're chasing another dog, they're not coming when called. But if most people spent the same amount of time, listen, dogs are no different than us. They love to be praised. They love to get positive attention. They love to get positive reinforcement. That's why I'm so anti all that negative reinforcement that goes on in training nowadays. So using a combination of the vocal marker, the mechanical marker, and the visual marker can make all the difference in the world. Now, I know a lot of people out there saying, well, Warren, I tell my dog he's a good boy when he does something right. Telling your dog he's a good boy is great. But you use the same words all the time. I used to have someone, I'll never forget this. I had an elderly gentleman years ago. "What a swell dog you are," he would say to us. "What a swell dog you are." And I used to laugh. But again, the dog realized that when he said a swell dog, he was being appreciated for what he did. So using a marker for training, this will also be put on my YouTube. And if you're not following me on YouTube, what the heck are you waiting for? YouTube.com. Warren Eckstein, youtube.com/Warren Eckstein. Hey, the phone number here at the Pet Show, 877-725-8255, 877-725-8255. Before I get to some more phone calls, I want to talk about this. I got a call this week from someone said to me, "Well, Warren, my dog recently passed away, crossed the Rainbow Bridge, and I'm devastated. Should I go out and get another dog right away?" There's no real answer for that. For some people, adopting a dog right away is the right thing to do. And for other people, they need that time to grieve. One of the disadvantages, if there is a disadvantage, there's never a disadvantage of adopting a dog or a cat. But one of the disadvantages of adopting right away is we tend to make those comparisons. Why aren't you like so-and-so? Why are you different than this dog? Why do you wake me up in the middle of the night to go out? The other dog let me... All of these things can take a toll on the relationship that you have with this dog or cat you adopted. So is adopting a dog the right thing to do, adopting a dog right after? For some people, it's absolutely the right answer. For other people, they need to wait a little bit. However, that all being said, as many dogs as I've lost over the years, I got to tell you, I should take my own advice. But the next day, I'm adopting 2, I'm adopting 3, I'm adopting 4. So to answer the question is, how many dogs did I have? What was the most amount of dogs I've had at one time that I rescued? I'm going to take a break, but the answer is 30. 877-725-8255. 877-725-8255. Quick break, then right back to your phone calls. I want to tell you again about my friends over at Delta Rescue. And I talk about Delta Rescue because they really do an absolutely incredible job. And if you were sure, I mean really positive, you knew that every single dollar you donated, you can change the life, the destiny, the hopes of dogs and cats that had no shot. I'm talking about dogs and cats that were deserted in the wild, thrown out of cars in the deserts, the streets, all across America. If you knew that your donation can help them, isn't that a legacy? Isn't that a legacy you'd really want to leave behind? Of course it is. For almost 50 years now, my friend Leo Grillo and Delta Rescue could never do, I call it saintly work they do every single day without you, my listeners, and your support. From saving lives every day to providing lifetime medical care. Lifetime medical care for over 1,500 dogs and cats. You know what it costs, lifetime medical care for 1,500 animals? That's where your donations are so important. Delta, I believe, is a group that really does deserve your dollars. That's why, personally, I made a bequest for Delta's rescued animals in my own estate planning. And here's why. A bequest to Delta Rescue will actually make your legacy work for the animals when? Now. Avoid fundraising costs and provide tax benefits. You win, the dog wins, that's great. But if you're not ready to make long-range plans, I get it. If you can make a donation, great. $5, $10, $1,000, $1 million, whatever you can do, every donation can make the difference. Every donation is an opportunity. A real chance to keep more than 1,500 dogs, cats, and horses happy, healthy, and loved for the first time in their life. I want you to go to their website, deltarescue.org. That's deltarescue.org. Or text the words directly to dogs at 801-801. Dogs, 801-801. By the way, this is important. Delta is a top-ranked charity by GuideStar.com. While you're there, subscribe to Delta's YouTube channel. It's youtube.com/Leo Grillo, Animal Rescuer. That's youtube.com/Leo Grillo, Animal Rescuer. I'm Warren Eckstein. This is The Pet Show. And we are back on The Pet Show. Veterans Day coming up this weekend. Put a flag out there. Thank a veteran. I mean, a little shake of the hand can make all the difference in the world? Just a couple of weeks ago, someone handed me, there was a woman, and I was wearing a veteran's hat. Someone handed me an honor flight card, say, Warren, we'd love to have you on an honor flight to Washington, D.C. And I said, honestly, I've been to D.C., I've been to the memorials, I've seen what I had to see, I shed the tears I had to shed. But give me the card. And I was at a coffee shop in Arizona a week or so after that. And there was an elderly man kind of limping out with a walker and his wife. He walked ahead. So I said, and I noticed that he had a Korean War veteran hat on. And I said to his wife, let me ask you a question. Would your husband want to go on an honor flight? And she asked me what it was, and I explained what it is. It's all veterans going down to D.C. And she said he would love that. It would be amazing for him. What a way. He's not been feeling good. I think that would perk him up. So I gave her the card, and I'm waiting to hear back whether they went on that honor flight or not. So any way you can support veterans, I am there for you. 877-725-8255. We got plenty of stuff coming up. We got scent enrichment coming up. Lots of great stuff. But right now, let's get back to the phone lines here. Let's go to my friend Rich and find out what kind of behavior issues he's having with his pets or his pets are having with him. Hey, Rich, welcome to the Pet Show.
My pet, Phil, refuses to go to the bathroom outside. He always pees in the carpet inside. I was wondering what I should do to manage this situation.
So the dog, has he ever peed outside? I guess, it's we have to, here's the thing. When you have a dog that's not peeing outside, we need to make him understand that outside is, in fact, the place to pee. So let me give you some advice. First of all, if possible, pick 48 hours where you have nothing to do but watch Phil. And the second he goes to lift his leg, get him right outside and let him finish out there. So watch and wait is one approach. Now here's some other things you need to do. If the scent is all over the house, it's going to make it really difficult for Phil not to pee in the house. So what you need to do is make sure you totally clean up the entire house, specifically with a product made with enzymes for dog and cat urine. How do you find all the spots? I talk about this every week. Go to the lighting store. Go to a pet store. You could rent or buy one of those black lights. We all had them in the 60s and 70s with posters hanging on our walls. Yeah, I'm that old. And when you're there, take the black light at night. Light it in the house. Any urine marking in the house will show up with the black light. That's when you can thoroughly clean up those areas. If there's one or two specific areas in the house, spend more time with the dog in those areas. Give him his treat in those areas. That's all part of it. But here's the real critical part. We need to let Phil know that going outside is the way to go. Number one, some of the successes I've had, besides waiting him out till he goes outside once or twice and gets the idea, confine or watch, no in between, is I would take a little ammonia, I would mix it with a little bit of water, and I would go outside and spray a little bit of that ammonia in my backyard, mixed with water. Ammonia smells like urine, and sometimes that will encourage the dog to go. The other thing that works great is to take the dog to areas where other dogs go a lot, i.e. the fire hydrant. The fire hydrant for dogs is like the local coffee shop. That's where all the information in the hood is. So taking the dog to an area where other dogs have peed sometimes is enough to encourage the dog to go as well. But exercising the dog beforehand, before you take him for that walk, will encourage him to go as well. Fire hydrants can make all the difference in the world. But again, the most important thing you need to do right now, Phil, Rich, is to, my producer's name is Phil, that's why I'm getting confused. And he is housebroken. But Rich, it's really important for you to know that confine or watch is critical. If you can avoid him peeing in the house for 12 to 14 days, your problem is over and done with. So exercise before walking. Something I've done over the past, but it all depends on your dog's personality, is I invited a friend or two over with their dogs, not even to meet my dog, but to go in the backyard and lift their legs in my backyard. I know that sounds crazy, but once my dog or the dog that's not peeing outside smells other dogs peeing in his backyard, he will get the idea. So, number one, black light, clean up all the areas specifically where the dog has gone in the past. Spend more time in those areas with the dog. The more time you spend in the area with the dog, the less apt he is to go. Very rarely dogs will pee on their bed or where they eat. Then what I would do, besides spending more time, is give him treats occasionally in those areas. Lay down and hang with him in those areas. That makes all the difference in the world. And so many dogs, if a dog is healthy, there's no reason in the world they cannot be totally housebroken. The problem is people try a lot of different things. Well, they listen to their neighbor. This is how I housebroke my dog. They listen to the vet. This is how I do it. They listen to one trainer. This is how I did it. So they listen to all this different advice, and they try this, and they try that, and they try this, and they try that. And what happens is the dog pees a little bit here and pees a little bit there. So exercise before walking, not giving him the opportunity to go in the house, confine or watch, no in between. That can make all the difference in the world. Taking him to areas like the fire hydrant. As I said, it's the coffee shop for dogs in the hood. Take him there. Let him pick the smell of other dogs. That will make all the difference in the world for you. Great call, by the way, Rich. Great call. I really appreciate it. And give him some time. Give me a call back in a few weeks when you can walk around the house barefoot and not be stepping in your dog's pee anymore. And here's a perfect situation. You can tell that they get upset or angry, and I understand that. No one wants a dog peeing in their house. But very often with that frustration doesn't come consistent thinking of the best way to stop it. And the best way to stop it is being consistent, following the advice I just gave you. Listen, as a behaviorist, if I can't stop a dog from peeing in the house, I'd have to hang up my hat. My hat isn't being hung up for a long time. 877-725-8255. 877-725-8255, the phone number. We come back, we're going to take a look at your dog's nose. I'm Warren Eckstein. This is The Pet Show. I can't help it. I hear this and I smile. It's just me. My father was very patriotic. My father served in World War II and spent 6 years in the Pacific, shot down a couple of times, 2 Purple Hearts. And one thing he always instilled in me, the love for this country, and I guess it'll always be there. Hey, the phone number, 877-725-8255. Before we take another call right now, which is an important question, I want to share this with you. I call it nose-based enrichment. As you know, and I just told you before, my specialty was sniffing out drugs, teaching dogs to sniff out drugs. Let me rephrase that. Teaching dogs to sniff out drugs and explosives. So when it comes to the dog's sense of smell or olfactory, it's different. Let me give you an example. If you're cooking spaghetti sauce and I walk in the room, I smell spaghetti sauce. Maybe I smell a little garlic. If the dog walks in the room, he smells the garlic, the pepper, all the ingredients separately. They have that ability to differentiate odors. And that's really critical. So let's talk for a second about scent-based or nose-based enrichment. Smell is critical to our dogs. Sniffing is a natural behavior and a key way, a major way, our dogs gain information about the neighborhood, about the environment. Your dog smelling the neighborhood is kind of like the internet. It's like Google. It's like, I don't know, TikTok or Facebook. That's what it is when your dog uses their nose. On walks, I see people when their dog has their nose on the ground, pulling the dog, saying, stop sniffing, let's go. When you take your dog for a walk, 2 things. Remember, it's not your walk, guys. It's your dog's walk. Allow your dog a lot of time, major opportunity to sniff. Sniff and sniff. Make sure you go to different places. You like to go to different places and see them visually with your eyes. Take your dog to different places. He sees them visually through his nose. So take him to different locations. New smells can make all the difference. And when you get home, you can buy dog-safe plants and herbs for them to smell. Some plants are toxic, so you need to be really careful. You could also swap treats for toys and hide their favorite things around the house and teach them to sniff it out. A lot of people do that. I remember years ago I was doing segments on I think it was Regis and Kathy Lee. And I was talking about the concept of going in your backyard and hiding stuff all over your backyard if you weren't the type of person. And this was for a client I was working with that had challenges physically themselves. But they were able to have someone go in the yard and hide different toys in different areas. Under this bush, under that bush, under whatever. And the dog would go out there and he got the idea because he would be finding treats around these things. And he was using his nose. And this dog that was just hyper crazy and nuts, once they started using their nose and going into their backyard, it literally made all the difference in the world. So making sure you give your dog the opportunity to use their nose is really, really, really important. Phone number 877-725-8255. Let's go to my friend Paul calling from the great state of Delaware. Hey, Paul, welcome to the Pet Show.
I'm having my dog neutered in 2 weeks, and I wanted to know if it's going to change his personality. I Googled it, and I see a lot of different remarks. And also I want to know, is they going to be mad at me when I get home or sad, or am I going to be sad?
All right, Paul, let me go over a couple of things with you. First of all, I've been working with dogs 50 years, and I'm a firm believer in neutering, and I'll tell you why in a few minutes. In all those years, I've recommended neutering dogs. I've yet to see a male dog turn his head, look under its butt, and say, oh man, my testicles are gone. It's a human male thing, not a dog male thing, okay? Now, let's go over a few things. There's a difference between personality and behavior. Personality is much more complex than that. Although a dog's behavior can be influenced by their sexual cycles, sexual-driven behaviors are just a fraction of a dog's interactions with other dogs. It also does not define their personality. So, neutering a dog, there's many different reasons. Aggression towards other dogs. Sometimes, I would say a good amount of times, having a male dog neutered will decrease by more than half the aggressive behavior towards other dogs. A lot depends on when he's being neutered as well. Roaming behaviors. Dogs that are not neutered. Goes for female dogs not being spayed too. But dogs in general that are not neutered or spayed have a tendency to roam. We call those roaming behaviors. Instinctively, they're out there roaming. Just another reason spaying and neutering is good. I forgot to ask the last caller if, in fact, his dog, the dog that was peeing in the house, if his dog was neutered. Because if your dog's already begun marking, it might be difficult to modify that behavior, but not impossible with the advice I gave him. Some of the other things that can really change: mounting, humping, and increased sexual drive. So, if you're asking me about all the psychological, behavioral reasons to neuter your dog, neuter away. Now, I'm assuming you love your dog. We all do. Prostate cancer, testicular cancer, and other types of cancer are eliminated by neutering your dog. The question about, well, is my dog going to gain weight if I neuter him? He might gain a little bit. Compensate. A little more exercise. We all need that once in a while. So the bottom line is this, Paul. Asking me the question about to neuter or not to neuter. Neuter away. From a health standpoint, a behavioral standpoint, your dog's personality standpoint, all you need to do for one more reason to neuter your dog is to spend a day going to shelters or rescues anywhere in the country. You're in Delaware. Check out the local ones. Every one of them is overly full right now because of the overpopulation. What's the best way to prevent overpopulation in dogs and cats? Doesn't take a brain surgeon. Spaying and neutering. So, again, my recommendation is neutering. Now, some people say, Warren, but I have an older dog. He's already set in his personality. Will neutering make a difference? Well, in his health it will. In his behavior, could make a bit of a difference, could make a lot of difference if you compensate the way I suggested. So neutering, Paul, if you're asking me my opinion, every dog I've ever lived with, every dog I've ever rescued has been neutered. And again, not just the psychological reasons, but the behavioral reasons and also the physiological reasons as well. Phone number here, 877-725-8255. Yeah, people want to say that. Well, especially when a married couple. My wife says neuter the dog, but the husband doesn't want to neuter the dog. I'm telling you. I've yet to see a dog look under his tail and say, oh man, my testicles are gone. It's strictly a human male thing. Don't worry about it. Your dog's not going to feel bad if you have him neutered, I promise. 877-725-8255. A quick break and then right back to your questions. You know, I want to tell you, we're having a sale. We've never been able to do that. I want you to go to my website, thepetshow.com. Now remember, it's all one word, thepetshow.com. The is part of it. When you go there, we're having our year-end clearance. They didn't tell me about it, but they're telling me we're having our year-end clearance sale online only. So here's the bottom line. Everything must go. All those amazing air horns you hear me talk about constantly. Just the other day, I spoke to a neighbor who used an air horn to prevent not a coyote, but a bobcat from going after her dog. The air horns come in two sizes. They're available on my website, thepetshow.com. And you know, both of my books, I've written 11 books, but two of my books, How to Get Your Dog to Do What You Want and How to Get Your Cat to Do What You Want, have been bestsellers. They're both Random House books for many, many years. So, all the air horns and the books at thepetshow.com, all the air horns and books are now 25% off. Whether it be How to Get Your Dog to Do What You Want, How to Get Your Cat to Do What You Want, or the air horns, either size, 25% off. And what about those T-shirts? We can't keep those in stock, I'm telling you. These are the T-shirts that say, none of my friends walk upright. Went into my vet's office the other day. She was wearing one of the T-shirts that I gave her. Now, if you go to my website, thepetshow.com, and order one of those T-shirts, they come in a rainbow of colors, sizes small to 5X, and they also help my foundation as well. So if you go to thepetshow.com and you pick up one of the T-shirts, it'll be $2 off as well. So $25 off the air horns and the books, $2 off the T-shirts. What are you waiting for? Log on to thepetshow.com right now. I'm Warren Eckstein. This is The Pet Show.
There's a peelin', comes a stealin', and it's
speaking about Yankee Doodle Dandy, I tell you, I watch that movie every single year. I'm a big James Cagney fan, and it makes me smile, and it makes me cry. I just love there's something about patriotic music. Hey, the phone number here at the Pet Show, 877-725-8255. By the way, there are some truly American dogs, the Alaskan Malamute, the Boston Terrier. God, I'm going blank on this. There's so many breeds of American dogs. So we'll talk about that one day. We'll talk about all the different breeds of dogs from America. You know, it's interesting that we recognize dogs according to the American Kennel Club here. And I think they recognize, God knows why, it keeps going up every year. But actually, the International Dog Registry is based in Brussels, Belgium. It's called the FCI, Fédération Cynologue Internationale. And they recognize, I think, something like 450 or 500 different breeds. So one of the advantages I had working in Europe for so many years is working with a lot of breeds that are now becoming popular in this country. One of those breeds that I was working with in Europe that you never saw in America was a breed called the Leon Burger. When I first started talking about the Leon Burger, which is a big, beautiful dog, looks like a Great Dane almost, like a St. Bernard almost. When I first started talking about the Leon Burger, and you can Google Leon Burger, I thought they were talking about a Jewish accountant from Brooklyn, New York. But it's Leon Burger. It's the name of the breed. It's an incredible breed of dog. It's a large breed. Check it out on Google. Leon Burger, a great breed of a dog. But so many other breeds that I was able to work with that were considered rare that now are no longer. When I started, the Australian Shepherd was considered rare. Now they come in 3 different sizes. Hey, the phone number here at the Pet Show, 877-725-8255. Let's get serious for a second here. Okay? If you're thinking about adopting a dog or a cat, think about this. November is National Adopt a Senior Pet Month. That's right, Adopt a Senior Pet Month. It's a time to shine light on the often, very often overlooked older dogs and cats waiting in shelters and rescues all across the country. Some of them have spent a decade or more with a family. The experience now being in a shelter can be totally devastating. Some of them just shut down, stare at walls. I know, I work with them every day. They don't understand why they are suddenly in a shelter. They're scared, they're confused, and some even shut down, as I said, and lose hope. I can make myself cry. Sadly, many senior pets end up surrendered when their owners can no longer care for them or when age-related issues appear, health issues. But behind those gray muzzles, folks, and slower steps are loving, loyal companions with plenty of life and love left to give. It's so true. You know, people often ask me about adopting a dog or adopting a cat. And they'll say, well, you know, I'm busy. It's okay. Maybe a young puppy or a young kitten is not the way to go for you. Maybe adopting an older dog or an older cat is the way to go. Very often, they've already lived in a home. Many of them have already come. They come housebroken. And they're so devastated about where they are that all they want to do is feel the love that perhaps they once knew. So if you're thinking about adopting a dog or a cat, don't negate the older dogs and the older cats. As a matter of fact, my assistant, Julie, her dog Romeo passed away recently. And she's asking me, hey, Warren, is it okay? Am I ready to adopt a new dog? And not that I miss Romeo desperately. So she sent me a photo the other night of a dog at an Arizona shelter that looks like a little Pekingese. It's 4 years old. And in the shelter, they wrote about the dog's behavior, blah, blah, blah. I never look at that until I get the dog or see the dog. So as soon as I get off the air here, I'll be talking to my own assistant, Julie, about whether or not adopting this 4-year-old Pomeranian is the thing to do. You all know my answer, right? You all know my answer. Yeah, Julie, it's definitely the thing to do. So if you're having a discussion, or maybe you're a younger couple and you're working, or maybe you're by yourself and you're out of the house a lot, don't negate adopting an older dog or older cat. Besides bringing a smile and love to their face, it'll bring a smile and love to your face, I promise. 877-725-8255. That is the phone number. I'm Warren Eckstein. This is The Pet Show. And we are back on The Pet Show. Just a reminder, if you're not following me on YouTube, get there. I share a lot of information every week, some short, some long, some great videos there of Warren of the past when I was doing the Mickey Mouse Club. Yeah, I was the creature keeper on the Mickey Mouse Club. I admit that. Check it out at youtube.com, Warren Eckstein, youtube.com/Warren Eckstein. Subscribe. It's free. I share a lot of information there. You're not going to want to miss that. But right now, I got this, I guess it's a letter or a text from someone. I want to share it with you. If you ever looked into your pet's eyes and thought you're the best therapist I never paid for, you're not alone. Our pets have an incredible way of lifting our spirits and actually improving our well-being. A gentle purr, a wagging tail, even a curious goldfish doing laps in a bowl are all so magical and soothing at the same time, bringing joy and comfort to our lives in ways we often overlooked. These adorable and cuddly creatures are our little bundles of health benefits. So grab a treat for your pup or scratch your cat. Explore the many ways your pet can boost your health and happiness, and enjoy them every single day. Enjoy them every single day. Again, don't forget to check out youtube.com, Warren Eckstein. Follow me on any of my social media, Instagram at Warren Eckstein. But check out the sale now going on at thepetshow.com as well. And please go to hugsandkissesanimalfund.org. We're being inundated with some small rescues right now. They need help. And the best way I can help them is with your donations. And we send those out immediately. So check out hugsandkissesanimalfund.org. Your donations are tax deductible. You can use PayPal. You can use your credit card. Or if you go to the bottom, you can actually send in a check, which is really important. And I got to tell you, when you go to hugsandkissesanimalfund.org, I want you to take the time to read the thank you notes. We sent one group $500. It was like $1 million to them. It's like they hit the lottery. They were able to save and spay another 20 or 25 cats that were feral. So your dollars go directly to these small mom and pop organizations that help. So if you're thinking about making a donation, totally tax deductible, check out, and this is my own, this is mine, hugsandkissesanimalfund.org, hugsandkissesanimalfund.org. Again, check out youtube.com/Warren Eckstein. Until next week, you all know what to do by right now. Give all your pets a big hug and a kiss for you, one between the ears for me. I'm Warren Eckstein, and thank you for listening to The Pet Show.